Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Denise Harrington. I am the Business Information and Marketing Officer for the Regional Business Center, and I will be facilitating the webinar today. And I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on the tips on writing a successful business grant. But before I go ahead and introduce our guest speaker today, I do want to talk about some of the services that we do offer. I will start with the innovation quarters. So at the innovation quarters, we do offer a 6-month-long incubator program that helps new startups succeed with one-on-one mentoring, programming and training, networking and events, and a collaborative co-working space. Our quarters are also open to the public, which gives you and your team access to desk space, meeting rooms, and more. You can both apply for the program or inquire about our co-working packages at the Innovations Quarter. So if you were interested in this program, you are free to visit the website, which is the innovationquarters.ca website, in order to find out more. And next, we have the Regional Business Center. So it's a one-stop source for information and guidance on starting, expanding, or operating a business. We are proud to serve Greater Sudbury, Espanola, Manitoulin Island, and the surrounding areas with service including confidential one-on-one consultations, business plan support, market research, registrations, and much, much more. So again, if interested in those services, you are free to visit our website at regionalbusiness.ca, or you can call us and book a meeting for a one-on-one consultation. We will be happy to meet with you. Next, we have a few upcoming events in the next little while. We have the 5-part Francophone series. So next week on Tuesday, we have Le Canevas du Modèle d'Affaires, which is series 3 of that Francophone series. So, if you know anyone that is interested in participating in those type of events in French, they are welcome to sign up for that on our website. Today, there's actually Meet the Finalists events. It's offered through the Venture North pitch, and that's happening at Place des Arts from 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock tonight. Also, our next webinar will be on Bookkeeping 101, presented by Baker Tilly, and that's offered on October 3rd at noon. So we have some individuals that are experts in that field that will come and speak to you regarding that. So again, if you're interested, feel free to sign up on our website under the events tab under the regionalbusiness.ca site. And now, without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to introduce you to Lisa Aho. She is the guest speaker today. She is the Chief Financial Officer with extensive experience in both the investment and tech startup sectors. She is based in Sudbury, Ontario. Lisa's career began as a certified financial planner and investment advisor. She transitioned from the investment industry to the tech startup world in 2013, bringing her keen eye for detail, cost efficiency, and strategic financial planning to the table. Currently, Lisa is the co-founder and the CFO of Critiq, a platform that connects users with world-class experts and receive personalized feedback. Her role involves managing financials and operations, which allow her and her team to concentrate on product development, sales, and marketing. She also serves as the CFO for Kinmetric Inc., a company known for creating the world's first digital net strengthening device, and a Time Hero, a productivity platform where she has been driving financial planning and strategy since 2013. So with a rich background and proven track record, Lisa Aho continues to excel in her field, supporting startups and driving their financial success. So thank you very much for joining us today, Lisa. I'm very excited about today's session, and I will turn the floor over to you.
Well, thank you so much for the nice introduction. Makes me sound nice for that, I think. I should, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here today.
You're very welcome. So for those of you who have just joined us, we will be doing an interview style today. So I will start with the first question. So I would like for you to tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, if you don't mind.
For sure. So like you said, I started back in my career in the early 2000s as a certified financial planner. So I was on the planning side, helping my clients with their investments and their financial planning and everything. And then eventually, when we had too many businesses and two kids, and it got too hectic, I had to sell my business, and I moved over to the startup side to help my husband with his startups, and that is when Time Hero was born. We couldn't find a solution to keep our everything, all of our time and our schedule intact and get everything done in time. And so we couldn't find a solution. So we built it in Time Hero. And that's when I started to take over the startup side, or learn the startup side, really. Numbers have always been my thing. So I went from planning, for my clients to planning for startups and everything. And that's when I started learning about grants, funding, all that sort of thing. And so I've had about 11 years now navigating the world of grants for not just our startups, but for other startups. You end up having lots of different friends and meeting lots of different people, and I get to ask to help with a lot of projects. And so when I have the time, I can help other startups with their grant writing and strategies. So that's where I'm today.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. I see many clients on a daily basis, and that's one of the things that I find that they're very intimidating with. They're very intimidated with the process. So having said that, you've been described as a master grant application writer. What has your success rate with grants or grant writing been?
So first of all, thank you to whoever said that. But my success rate would probably, I would say, be between 70 and 80%. Even with all the knowledge and background that I have, I still get turned down. I do get a lot of yeses. But yeah, there are times where in terms of grants, when you're applying for a grant, sometimes there's things, you may have the perfect application, but it may not be what they're looking for, or there's a parameter outside of your project, or there's somebody has an application that just won out over yours. So sometimes you get a no, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles when it comes to grants.
Yeah, and would you say that there is a huge percentage? Like, let's just say you were to apply for a number of grants. Would you say like 10% are no's, 30% are no's sometimes, or does it matter what?
With mine, it's about probably 20, maybe 25% are no's. It's not often, but it happens. But I have extensive background in writing out the applications, and I have a lot of relationships and stuff in terms of who I can reach out to. When you're a startup that's just starting out, it is very intimidating and you don't know what to expect. And so it helps to take the time and do things like this webinar and find out like what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. But yeah, you can do your absolute best and sometimes still get a no.
Yeah, and I could see that, understandably. So can you briefly describe the different types of business funding? So for example, the bootstrapping, the grants, the loans, the crowdfunding, investors, and the venture capital, just to give us a general idea.
Yeah, for sure. So bootstrapping is when you may still have another job and you're using your evenings and your weekends to work on your new startup or your project, and you're not getting paid, and you're giving your time to that new little baby that you're creating. You're trying to get it to the place where you can get funding. So that's, yeah, essentially bootstrapping is you're working a lot, you're not getting paid, but there's potential that you will in the future. Grants are what we're all here for today. A lot of people think of them as free money. It's never free money. Grants are when you win through your application or through the application process, you win a grant, which is money that you don't have to pay back, that goes towards your project or your startup. The next one, grants, loans. So loans are, I think everybody's probably familiar with loans. You do have to pay the money back. You can apply to get the money and then you pay the money back over a period of time, whatever the parameters of the loan terms are. Crowdfunding is when you can put your project or startup out there, and people can invest small amounts towards your project, and you try and get to a certain level of funding. So let's say $1,000 is what you're trying to raise. You know, you might have friends and family or even strangers out there that'll contribute, you know, $10, $100 until you get to that amount, which would be $1,000 in our case. The next one, investors. So investors are individuals or corporations or institutions that are interested in your project or your startup, and they want to be a part of it. And by giving money to the startup, they get a piece of the project or the company. They get to own it. They may not own it right away, depending on the structure of the investment, but they will eventually own it, or a piece of it. And then venture capital is for can I explain that? So venture companies invest in startups that they do a lot of due diligence. So you typically need to have a good idea, perhaps a prototype. You may need traction. It depends on the venture capital. They are typically industry specific of what they invest in, but they may invest, say you're looking for a round of $1 million. They may invest 600,000 and then look for other contacts to invest the rest of the round. They may invest the full $1 million. They do have big pockets, so they have investors that pool their money, and then they hire a manager to find startups and companies to invest that money in. They expect a big return. So that's what venture. Did I miss any?
No, you've covered them all. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, having said all of that, like, do you see that one over the other is more popular than the other ones? Like, for instance, I imagine it's a little bit more difficult to get into the venture capital than, you know, just a grant, for instance. Like, do you see a lot of that?
Yes, absolutely. So venture capitalists, they will get, you are competing against perhaps a whole country of startups that are looking for money. there's a huge pool of entrepreneurs looking for money, and venture capitalists may invest sometimes only 6 to 10 companies a year. So there's a lot. They're very, of course, very picky. Their business is to get a return from these businesses. So it's very, very, very competitive and hard to get venture capital funding, grants. As a comparison, they're looking to give that money to whatever the parameters of that application is. So it's much easier in comparison to apply for a grant as opposed to apply to a venture capitalist.
Okay. So are there any specific steps that you would recommend startups to take before applying for funding?
So the first step and the biggest step is the strategic planning. So when you're looking at funding applications, they're going to fund things like a project, perhaps it's marketing, perhaps it's an expansion. It's something that they're going to fund. So you need to look at what your strategy is for your specific company. Of course, every new startup and company is different and their needs are different. So that's where you need to sit down and take a look at what your projects are. Are you hiring? Like, what is it that you want this funding for? And then look through, once you find funds that or applications that you want to apply to, look through the application. Make sure that you fit those requirements and restrictions. Once you get through that part, then start the application process, and then it's off to the races.
Okay. Now, would you say that a business plan would be a good tool to use to start that process?
Well, a business plan is always a great idea for any company, really. It not only, even if you're not applying, I would say have a business plan for your business or your startup. Just going through the process of making a business plan makes you think about all the things that need to be done, all the things that need to be considered, all the different aspects of your business. And then it makes you look at all of the numbers when you have to do projections, because those are always fun. It forces you to really dig into your business and know it inside out, so that when you do these applications, so much easier. A lot of the applications are going to ask for projections, for a marketing plan, and those are going to be inside your business plan. So.
Excellent, thank you. And what are some of the most important sections an entrepreneur should put effort into their grant applications?
Oh, that's a good question. So in terms of the applications there's a variety. So it really depends on the application. I find that when I'm writing an application, my strength is numbers. My weakness is actual writing, descriptive writing. So I find I have to put more effort myself into the writing portion. If writing is your strength, put more effort into the numbers. Whatever it is that you find as a weakness, put more effort into that, because you already know that you're gonna kill the good part that you're good at. But the other part is what you really need to focus on.
Well, that's a good point, because I probably would have the same strength as you. So I'd have to definitely work on the other aspect for sure. Are there any specific funding resources and grants that you have had the most success with? And if so, who may benefit from these?
So In terms of resources, what do you mean? Like, there's
So for instance, like I know that many times when we have clientele that comes to see us, if they're looking for grants in the retail industry, for instance, that might be a little bit more challenging than, if they were looking at the innovative aspect of something. So I guess my question would be like, would you say that, you've had more successes with some industries rather than others? And if so, who would benefit from those?
So most of my, my experience in grant writing goes across I've done manufacturing, I've done tech, I've done agri-tech, life sciences, all the way across. So it really comes down, I think, to the specific application, because some of them are very streamlined and they're easier to complete, and others are so in depth that you think, I'm never going to finish writing this. um, but it really depends on the application. Um, yeah,
And I would imagine that some would be a lot more detailed than others, depending on what you're applying for.
yeah, for sure. And even like when you're applying for a $10,000 grant versus a $100,000 grant, of course, it's going to be more in depth for the
Mhm.
larger amount. So the larger amount that you're going for, the more complex the application is going to be. Um, they're quite unique, all of them, the applications, and terms of how they're structured, what they want, the process that they follow. Some are a two-step process, some are a three-step process, some have interviews, some don't, some are just, apply and we'll get back to you. It really runs the whole gamut.
One of the things that I find challenging on my end is obviously that's one of the questions that comes up a lot. What about funding and grants and what's available out there? I guess my question to you would be like, how would just a regular person starting up their business, let's just say they have like they have a draft business plan in place, and they're wanting to now explore that aspect of it. What would be a good starting point for them? Like where should they start looking, or what should they be doing? Like, do you just research the internet? Do you pick up the phone? Like, I'm not sure
Mhm.
what that looks like.
So there's all kinds of ways you can do it. You can Google, you can go to the regional business center and ask. I actually use a platform um, outside of the context that I have. I use a platform called Pocketed. It is, you can create an account and put in like what industry you're in, what sort of grants you're looking for. If you're looking to fund a marketing plan, let's say, you can put that you're looking to do marketing grants, or loans or whatever. You put in the parameters that you want, and you're going to get emails. This is what they're going to populate a list of. These are the applications that you should consider applying to. It's really handy, really, really handy. I love the platform. It's Canadian, and they are based, I believe, out of BC. Um, and I really like it because grants, we hear about the grants for the North, but also there's so many grants and loans and funding out there available that they'll pop up, be available to until it's filled. They'll fill in 2 days and then it's gone, kind of thing. You would have never known about it, right? So Pocketed really keeps you informed specifically to what you should be looking at. So I would say start there. Uh,
Okay.
I sent you a link so that you can send out to everybody. Um, about
Okay.
Pocketed, and they actually give us a code. They give me a code to give to everybody so that you can get a free account. So
Excellent. That's
mhm.
great. Okay. Now, in your experience, which grant applications have been the easiest to complete and comparatively the most complex, time consuming? You may have touched on that already, but you might have an example, for instance.
Yeah, for sure. So, considering we're in the north, I'll talk about some of those. The big ones are like NORCAT and FedNorth. Those they'll have applications for funding available for 5,000 or 10,000, 15,000 sometimes. Um, those applications are relatively simplified. They're pretty easy to do. I would be checking those as well every once in a while. FedNor is already on Pocketed, but NORCAT is not, I don't think. Um, but those are relatively easy applications when it's, 5,000, 10,000 kind of thing. The harder ones would be IRAP, which is federal applications, federal funding, sorry, and NOHFC as well is very in depth. They have a several step process. So you submit, first of all, you have an advisor in town. I always deal with Claude Rebet here. He's amazing. But you submit the application and the first stage, and then you wait to hear back if it's approved to go on to the second stage. Just because it's approved to go on to the second stage doesn't mean that it's approved, just means that you get to fill out a really extensive application now. So once you get that approval, you start that, you complete the second stage application, which is super extensive. And then once Claude says, okay, it looks good, he'll submit it for you. And then you wait and it goes into due diligence. And then due diligence is done by Deloitte, and it can take months for them to get through their due diligence. After that, it goes to the board, for board of directors for NOHFC. They vote on it. It may be the best application ever, but if there's other applications that are better than yours, you may not get funding. And it can take, I've seen it take more than a year sometimes. I do know that they're backed up. So it does take a long time. So NOHSC and IRAP would definitely be one of the harder ones. And then FedNor and NORCAT would be a little bit more simple for sure in comparison.
So I guess in a sense, like the monies and the resources are there. You do have to be patient with the process, is what I'm gathering from what we're
Yeah,
discussing today.
absolutely. And that's where if we jump back to the steps, strategic planning comes into play. You need to plan the grants, although people do look at them as free money. They're not free money. There's a lot of time and resources that go into filling out these applications. So you need to really plan for these, and not plan as in I'm going to get the money and it's already spent, because you may not get the money. So it's you've a lot of the applications you have to have the money to spend, and then like a year later you can submit the
The
receipts and
invoices,
you'll
yeah.
get 50% back. So
Okay. Okay. So I guess it kind of ties into this one as well then. Who might you suggest that could assist with the grant writing and the review? Like, would you say like it's an accountant, a small business specialist, a bookkeeper?
yeah, so actually Pocketed does grant writing. I haven't used them myself because I do my own grant writing. But they may be a resource to take a look at. you may want to try and do the application on your own and then go to somebody like Claude. If you are applying for NOHSC, Claude will take a look and help you with the application, all of that. But outside of that, I'm not, I would say try yourself first. And if you are struggling, look for help or hire somebody through Pocketed or some other place that does help with grant writing.
Okay, well, thank you. And has a grant providing organization ever provided feedback before final applications?
Yes, so like I was saying, Claude will take a look at your application. So NOHSC for sure. You spend a lot of time doing those applications, so it's really great to have a resource like Claude and his associates who will take a look and make sure that you haven't missed anything, that sometimes something doesn't make sense. And I'll get a phone call, Lisa, what the heck are you writing? It's great. It's always better to have more eyes than less. So yeah, some of them, I would also say never be afraid to ask. There's always somebody that you can call and say, hey, do you mind taking a look? And letting me know what your feedback is. If you don't have an advisor, ask if you can have one, or ask if there's a resource there that can help you, or just take a look at your application before you get it submitted.
And I imagine that there are some of the funding that you see reoccurring year after year, so you're familiar with which ones come out when. Are you noticing that there's more and more coming out, for instance? Are there new ones being introduced on the market?
Yes.
That I'm not
Yeah,
sure what to answer.
absolutely. So when I started in 2013, there wasn't a whole lot. Since then, it has expanded so much, and I love it. I love it so much because there's so much innovation. There's so many new startups, so many great ideas and everything. So it's really cool to see not just government, but even private corporations that are starting to fund innovation across the country. It's really cool. Yeah, definitely there's more.
That's great. Are there any other funding resources that you can recommend, or other than grants?
Yeah, of course. There's loans, there's family and friends. Um, there's never any harm in, asking mom if she um, and I mean, there's funding with dollars, but also keep in mind that time is actually our biggest and most important resource. Um, Sometimes if you're trying to get something done, uh, instead of throwing dollars at it, having somebody else help you with that project is saving you money. And so that could be a way to fund something. If you take advantage of resources that NORCAT, that the Regional Business Center, that the Innovation Corridors have, then you are essentially getting funding in terms of time and help. So yeah, I would say look all over the place. Ask friends, ask family, ask resources that are out there for help. There's help is important.
Absolutely. And I've often discussed that with clients where, they may not have like the funds to create a website, for instance, but they may know, a cousin that's very, very good in the tech world, and they can build it for them and probably, just do it for the experience. So, I always encourage folks to tap into those kinds of resources because they are around you. It's just a matter of finding them.
Yes, and that is funding in and of itself because Had your cousin not helped you with that website, you would have had to pay to have somebody do it. So yeah, there's innovative ways to get funding out there other than
Absolutely.
actual funding.
Absolutely. And I have another question here. If you could leave entrepreneurs with one piece of funding advice, what would that be?
So I would say the most important thing to keep in mind is to align your funding strategy with your long-term goals. So don't just chase funds out there or grants out there because they're there. Figure out your plan and execute your plan. Um, it really isn't free money at the end of the day because it takes time and resources to get those applications in. And if you spend all of your time just looking for free money, as they say, or filling out funds for grants and stuff, um, you're doing yourself a disservice. So definitely, I would say take a look at your business as a whole and strategically plan what you want to do and how you're going to do it. And funding is part of that.
Okay. Well, there's a few takeaways that I was able to get from your session today. It's very informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Number one, you just mentioned it again, like, nothing is free. So basically, yes, you're getting funding. However, you got to take into consideration the time that you're actually putting into these grant applications, right? Because your
Yeah.
time might be more valuable to you as an entrepreneur than anything else. So that is great. And, the different avenues to take for finding these grants that are available out there. I was not aware of the site that you mentioned, so I'm looking forward to getting that information, and I will pass it on to everybody who has participated today. So thank you for that. So again, as we mentioned, there will be a discount code, and you'll be able to set up an account for free, I believe, right?
Yep.
So that's very encouraging. One of the tools that we use when clients come to see us is the Business Benefits Finder that the government has. Now, I know that you mentioned yours. Are there any others out there that pop up, like when you start to look, or?
Yeah, absolutely. There are ones out there. Um, some of them are quite expensive.
Okay,
So
okay,
even pocketed their basic plan, I believe it's a $475 value. She said so. I would take a look around. There may be some that are out there that are free. There's new things popping up all the time, all the time. So keep your eyes on what's going on, and Google is always, and Chat GPT. Chat
yeah,
GPT actually is one that I use. It's a
okay,
resource that I sometimes when I'm doing grant writing, because like I said, descriptive writing is not a friend to me. So I can write my crude descriptions, and Chat GPT will help me translate that into a more professional voice for applications. So that might be a resource that people might want to look at. Also, one of the business plan resources that I use it's called Live Plan. It is also a paid tool, but I find it, I like using it. It helps me. You can do different scenarios for your company, and it prints, you can print out a full business plan with projections, financials, everything, colored with charts. You can print out or PDF, pieces of the business plan. But like I said, just the process of going through, looking at your business and building out that business plan, it helps you be intimately knowledgeable about your company and where you're going, what your strategy is, what the numbers are, all of that. So Live Plan is another resource that I use there.
That is excellent. So yeah, that touches on a lot of the discussions that we do have with clients at the Regional Business Center. For instance, we often have those who come to see us to help them write a business plan or to apply for the funding. And what we really want them to take away is that you're the expert in your business. So I like the fact that you reiterated that they really should be trying to apply on their own first. And working on their own business plan because they have a vision. We may not know what that vision is, and then they have to basically put in the work and the research and then deliver what it is that they're proposing. So that is great. Thank you for that comment. It was
nobody loves your baby more than you do. So.
Yes.
You're always the best one to describe what your baby wants to do.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the time here. We're not doing too bad. So I don't know if there's anyone who has joined the session that has a couple of questions for Lisa. You could put them in the Q&A chat here, and I will share that with her. In the meantime, I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add, Lisa.
No, I think we covered just about everything. But yeah, if I can reiterate for sure that, plan, and your plan's going to change so many times. That's why scenarios are great. But the strategic planning, I would say, is the absolute most important thing to do, whether it's funding or whatever it is that you're looking to do.
Yeah, I do have a question here, and it says, how important is incorporating your business in order to be eligible for grants? And do you see a lot of grants open to sole proprietors? Very good question.
Very good question. Yeah. So the grants that I do and the companies that I've worked with are incorporated. However, there are absolutely grants out there and funding out there for sole proprietor. You don't have to be incorporated for if you wanted to go for VC funding, like the bigger dollars. Yes, you're going to have to be incorporated. You're going to have a plan to accelerate your revenue like sky high. But if you're going for funding for your business and you're just starting out, you don't want to incorporate, totally understandable. Even the NOHFC applications, you just tick off, whether you're incorporated, sole proprietor, or partnership, whatever you need to do.
Okay. And like for those who decide to apply for grants on their own, how much time would you say they should allocate? Like, I know you mentioned to include it in your strategic planning, but like, for instance, if it was, a sole proprietorship, they're wanting to open a small business and they're looking for, let's just say, about $25,000. Would you say that they should put like an hour or two aside to apply for grants, or how does that look like?
I would say put aside an hour or two, maybe a week or a few nights, maybe in the weekend. It's going to be a process. So the first hour or two is going to be, looking at what am I doing, or what do I want to accomplish? And then there's going to be what is out there, and then that will determine maybe there's 4 applications that you can do. Maybe there's 1 application that you can do, and then that will determine, how many more sessions that you're going to need. So you can then again plan how much time and you want to put into the application, and then schedule that along the way.
Excellent. Are there any other questions out there? I know that someone just indicated that they wanted to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Your information was extremely valuable. I know to myself, and I'm sure that the participants probably feel the same way, because like I said, it is definitely one of the most popular questions I get on a day-to-day basis when I meet with clients. You know, I'm very, very happy to have met you. I did take away a lot of the information that you did provide today.
I'm happy to answer questions. Like if somebody has a question, feel free to share my email address so that if anyone has questions, I'm always happy to help out other startups and companies, you know, send questions my way. I'm happy to help.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here today and help with whatever everybody else is doing.
Excellent. Well, that completes our session for today, everyone. Thanks again for joining. And again, if you have any questions for Lisa, I will be adding her email address to the email that I send you with the survey and the code to the website that she had mentioned earlier on as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Denise. Have a good day. Have a good day,
You
everybody.
too. Bye-bye.